Stevie G. Steven Gerrard has been in the news, not only been strongly linked with the vacant Rangers job, but also he has slammed England's golden generation, including himself, by the way, as egotistical losers who made no effort to bond with each other socially, went together on England duty. Have a little listen to this.
I think we were all egotistical losers.
Yeah.
Because I watch the telly now and I see Carragher sitting next to Paul Scholes on this fan debate, and he looked like they'd been best mates for 20 years. And I see Carragher's relationship with Gary Neville, he looked like they'd been mates for 20 years. I'm probably more close and friendly with you now than I ever was when I played with you for 15 years. So why didn't we connect when we were 20, 21, 22, 23? Was it ego? Was it rivalry? Was it... Why are we all mature enough now and at stages in our life where we're closer and more connected now? Why couldn't we connect as England teammates back then? And I think it was down to the culture within England that we were all never connected, all in our rooms too much. We wasn't friendly or connected. We wasn't a team.
No.
We never at any stage become a real good, strong team.
Right, what about that Steven Gerrard there? Incredible, talking about... I can understand what he's saying, though, definitely.
Incredible.
Delighted to give us all the insight in the interview. The man himself joins us now, 14-time major trophy winner at Manchester United, Rio Ferdinand, who talked to Stevie G. Rio, a very good morning.
Rio, good morning, mate.
How you doing, guys? You all right?
Yeah, Rio, I can
mate.
totally understand what Stephen's saying there. You know, but obviously there's massive rivalry at club level, especially United, Liverpool. And, you know, you go there, but you want to say be nice and you know, and be pals and stuff. But at the same time, the rivalry at club level just tends to, you know, keep you apart slightly. Or it did then. I think hopefully it's changed now.
Yeah, and I think in the interview, I think Stevie talks about Gareth Southgate kind of bridging that gap. And I think not only Gareth Southgate and his staff have done well with England in that sense, because they took it from how bad it was with us and our generation to these guys can't wait to meet up. But I think social media's played a huge part as well. These guys talk to each other on social media constantly, like each other's pictures, etc. Whereas if I was playing in the same team as Stevie, I'd play against him probably twice, maximum maybe 3 times if it's a cup game.
Yeah.
Season home and away, and then I'll meet him with England 3 or 4 times if we make all of the squads. So we're not really together. We're not really connected, and I think that was a big part. And the rivalries, like our manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, was desperate at times for players not to even meet up because he wanted us to remain fresh for games. And we've got a big game against Liverpool or Chelsea or Arsenal, whoever may be fighting us. So that's the way it was. And it just, that meant that we never really got any bonds. I'd sit across the table, I'd look at Stevie and I think, don't really like you. I'd think the same about Carragher and loads of other guys. Whoever we were fighting for the league that year especially, I wouldn't really, I'm not going to get close to you anyway, I know that. So, and it was just the way it was.
Brilliant, that, Rio. I mean, it's absolutely fascinating. The first thing I've got to say to you, mate, killing it. I mean, the interviews with Michael, Wayne and Stevie have been done short of sensational, mate. So well done there. They've been fantastic. The other thing I was going to say, that interesting couple of things that Stevie said, Rio, that the players didn't connect. Right. So what I'm thinking is, if I'm a coach or a manager and I'm listening and I'm watching, and if I see my players not connecting, surely that's a disaster. Because you look at you boys, your successful team at United, you didn't necessarily need to go on with everybody and be in each other's pocket 24/7, but you have to respect each other. You have to have a relationship that leads to your team having or being successful. And clearly you didn't have that with that England side.
No, and Stevie's so right. I mean, when he was talking in the interview, he took me straight back to how it felt when we used to meet with England. I'd want to go with England, but then I'd get there and I'd think, well, I'm training for probably an hour and a half. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm training for an hour and a half, and then I've got to go to my room or try, hope that someone's going to have a coffee somewhere. And the environment just wasn't like, it wasn't a natural environment. And like I said, I think the staff probably didn't do much to kind of understand that and provide kind of different things for us to do to really bond. And the difference is with our clubs, we had like, we done loads of different stuff, whether it was card schools, whether it was playing computer games, etc. But we're traveling around together. I don't know what it was. I think no matter what anyone tried to do at that time, we had a group of players that were so strong-willed and were so adamant that their clubs had to be successful. I mean, the clubs are run by serious people. So Alex Ferguson, David Gill, Mourinho at one time, Arsene Wenger at another time. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Liverpool's institution itself, like, it was just strong. It was the personalities behind the scenes were probably adding to the disconnect that we had as players as well.
Rio, what about lunches and dinners? Was there set places to sit, or would you tend to sit with United players, or players that you played with in the past, or would sitting next to a Liverpool player, would that be a no-go?
Yeah, it changed up. Well, you normally text your mate when you're going down for lunch or for dinner. Like Wazza would message me, or I'd message Wazza, or whoever it was, Brown, or wherever it was. I was a bit more of a mixer because I was from London. I'd played with Frank, and I knew a lot of the other London boys anyway. So that was probably a little bit different for me. But like most guys would be like hoping that they'd roll into the dinner room with one of their mates from their clubs. And we tried sitting at a long table where you had to mix in a bit more, or you had 4 or 5 different separate tables. You'd normally get the Man United table, the Chelsea table, and then a few others mixed up with the other ones. But so it didn't work like that, and it never found a way to working. But I do regret that we didn't find a way to be more kind of like a palatable kind of environment for us all to be able to achieve something, because we did have players that were playing in the biggest games around Europe and in the Premier League and winning things, and we should have done better than we did. Not that we should have won, because there were very good teams around us, like Brazil with Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Roberto Carlos, Cafu, etc. And you had France as well, where there were some great teams about.
Just come back to your podcast, right? Rio Ferdinand presents Steven Gerrard, and I want to talk about Wayne just a little bit as well. But first, Stevie G, do you get the feeling that there is a chance he would take this Rangers job, or is he looking for a biggish job in England instead?
Well, I have to say, when I interviewed him, he left me in no uncertain terms that he wants to be a manager, and he's got full confidence in doing that. And he's itching to get back in now. Right. I think I personally, he never said this to me, but I personally think just the energy that I felt in that room, that if Rangers came calling, that he'd go and he'd at least have that conversation. But this is the thing. I think when I get to sit down with these guys, I get to kind of pick at them and understand them. And what I felt is that if I was an owner of a football club and Steven Gerrard was sat in front of me, and I felt that energy I felt in the room when I was interviewing him, he's getting a job.
Yeah.
And forget what's gone on before, but also his time before at Rangers, he done great there. So, and the Rangers fans, I've seen the Rangers fans. I've never had so many Rangers fans flood the comments of my social media or the podcast. They're all desperate for him to go up and at least have the conversation in the meeting. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Steven Gerrard is managing again very soon, and Rangers will be probably one of my big bets.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.